With the presidential election around the corner, what grade would our next guest give the current administration? My guest today, Steve Moore. He's a senior economic advisor for President Trump and part of the administration's Economic Recovery Task Force. Steve, nice to virtually meet you. Thanks for coming on the show.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Steve, grade for President Trump. Obviously, you're a little biased here, but what would you give him?
Well, I am a little biased. I've worked for Donald Trump, directly or indirectly now for about the last 5 or 6 years since the beginning of the 2016 campaign. So, given my biases, people may want to take that into account. But I would give Trump a B plus on the economy. I love what we did in 2017 and 18 and 19 when we just had this booming economy and booming stock market and booming job market. It was a beautiful picture. When you think about it, you go back to early 2020. I remember pinching myself and saying, something's got to, this great picture can't possibly last. I didn't know if it was going to be a meteor or a terrorist incident. And of course we got hit with this virus. And in terms of the impact of how Trump has dealt with the virus, I'd give him a little lower grade, and not for the reasons a lot of Trump's critics do. I think the lockdown of the economy and lockdown of our businesses was one of the most tragic mistakes in the history of the United States, a multi-trillion-dollar mistake that did not save lives, did not keep us safe from the virus, but it did destroy a lot of businesses and millions of jobs. So that's, I think, where I would put him right now. And I know if he'd listening, he'd be very angry at me for only giving him a B+.
I want to say it's a fair grade. But if a second wave were to hit the White House, are they prepared this time around?
Good question. I don't know that, I don't know if any country is really much, ready for a second wave. I pray that doesn't happen because I think that would have very, very negative consequences for the economy. I mean, right now, as we speak, we're seeing very dramatic declines in the caseloads and the hospitalizations. The picture is pretty good right now on COVID, but you raised the really important question that all investors have to pay attention to is what if we get hit with the second wave? Hopefully we'll see much, much better treatments. And hopefully, and by the way, we do have much better treatments for COVID than we did 6 months ago. But of course, we want to see a cure and we want to see a vaccine.
Steve, let's talk U.S. equities. Stanley Druckenmiller came out saying that, what happens after a great party? There's a massive hangover, and he just feels that it's just Fed fueled. What do you make of his remarks?
I think stocks are really high right now, and I'm not an expert on the financial markets. I'm not a stock picker, but I'm not bullish. I mean, we've seen an incredible recovery in the stock market, given what we've been through over the last 6 months, and especially obviously in the technology area. And so I think maybe the market's run a little bit ahead of itself, a little bit of irrational exuberance, because there's still a long way to go in terms of rebuilding our businesses. I saw a survey the other day. 1 out of 3 small businesses in the country, and those are the heartbeat of America, the real drivers of employment, 1 out of every 3 is substantially worried about, survival. So there's a lot of work to be done to get to anywhere near normal.
Steve, you're speaking at the Beaver Creek Summit. Unfortunately, virtually, you won't get to enjoy beautiful Beaver Creek, but it is a conference that's focused on gold and the precious metals. So what brings you there? What are your views on gold?
Look, gold is bought for 2 reasons. Number one, you want to have gold in your portfolio as a hedge against inflation. It always has been and always will be the ultimate hedge against rising prices and devalued currencies. And given the massive increase in the debt we've seen, not just in the United States, but around the world, I think gold is probably a pretty smart buy. The other reason you buy gold is if you're, I would say gold is the ultimate hedge against the end of the world. If you think the whole world is crashing and, the COVID virus is going to continue to cause major problems around the world, then you want to own gold. So my view is, yes, you definitely want to have gold in your portfolio as part of it, but I wouldn't, hoard gold right now. I would have a very balanced portfolio with stocks and bonds and real estate. I really like real estate right now, especially U.S. real estate, and especially in the housing area. We need to, one of the reasons I'm participating in this conference, though, is I feel very strongly the United States has to produce our resources. We have more copper and minerals than any other country in the world. We haven't been mining our resources because of environmental restrictions, and that has made us dependent on foreign countries that are oftentimes not reliable. Russia and China and other nations that are not necessarily in line with the United States with respect to our security. So one of my big pushes, let's get going. Let's use our energy resources. Let's use our coal, our oil, our gas, our uranium, our silver, our copper. And I know Donald Trump really wants to do that. And so we might see a kind of renaissance in American mining, if especially if Trump is reelected.
Okay, so that would be a focus. Should there be should you win the reelection?
I think it would be. There's no question. I mean, I would say this: there's no issue where Trump and Biden are more polarized on than energy policy. Trump, I've talked to him many, many times on this, and people know this. He is all in on producing American energy. Oil, gas, coal, nuclear power, everything. And the left wants to eliminate our production of fossil fuels. So that is a stark difference between, what's at stake in this election.
Steve, thank you so much, and best of luck at the conference. Thank you for joining us today.
Okay, I hope to see you sometime. I'm
In person.
Really bummed out that we can't be in Colorado.
Absolutely.